What's up, Brusco 321? What's going on, man? So, did it work? It's kind of an answer to earlier's live stream with Liz. Um, so, 2012 Ford Focus AutoPad Pro Lite did work to bypass the 10-minute wait on the key. So yeah, it worked great. Didn't have to do 10-minute patch wait. I don't remember who was it. I think it was it Brian that said that, or from Ragland? I don't know. Remember who said it? Somebody said, "Oh yeah, why don't you try the AutoPad Pro Lite?" And I was like, "Oh yeah," because I forgot I had that. What up, Corey? In the house. So, what has your guys' day been like? I got like less than 20, a little more than 20 minutes until we got to do the immobilizer keys and immobilizer systems part 2 class on the website. So I thought I'd come hang out. I do have to go in a minute though. Go refresh my beverage. It's empty. 2 live streams in one day, right? What? But the beautiful Miss Perkins is not here. Mondays are crazy for us. So after work, the kids get home at like 4 o'clock our time, so she's got to get here and be at the house by 4 o'clock. Otherwise, our neighbor across the street has to watch the kids, which is what happened today because we had a ton to do and we got it all done today, which was good. Pretty much got everything done except for a diag on a 1994 Lexus SC300 crank no start. Literally got to pull codes and it has some intake air temperature sensor code, and that's it. I didn't get to check for spark fuel, nothing. I literally didn't have time. At the same place, I also had to do a Lexus LS430 software update for some P0300 codes, which they found a TSB on, and it did have the software update available, so we did that. I don't know if it even fixed it. And then they had a Chrysler 200 that they put an engine control module and a TIPM in. Had to program those two. So that's it. Ralph's Automotive Diagnostic Repair, what again? So what worked was using the AutoPad Pro Lite on the 2012 Ford Focus key that we did earlier in the live stream. So I put it in the description that it did work. Again, I didn't know if the shop was going to be cool about me rolling in with a live stream going. I don't ask them ahead of time. Hey, are you cool if I film in your shop? I usually don't ask that. I feel inappropriate asking if I can. So yeah, that did work. Anyways, so we got everything done today. We did let's see, what did we do today? Just to roll over what we did today. And again, this isn't like gloating because we only got like 5 or 6 stops done today. But I had to be back here before 5 so I could get everything ready for the live stream. So today, I left the house early, did a diagnosis on a 2011 F-150 with a 3.5. Needs a PCM it's got hard misfire on 1 and 2. It's not the driver style that has failed, but the PCM has failed to control the ignition coils. What's up, Joe? And then it's also got a bad turbo that's squeaking on the right-hand side. And they just put a motor in it, and it started up with a dead miss, and it was just a big cluster. And then left there. Where did I go? Oh, went to do a diagnosis on a 2016 Silverado. It had E0097 intake air temperature sensor 2 low reference. And then it had, this is the one we talked about in the live stream. And then it also had a humidity sensor circuit code, like a B00F4, and then a P2199, no, a P00F4, and then a P2199 for intake air temperature sensors 1-2 plausibility correlation. That ended up having a bad connector on it's not a mass airflow, it's actually called a multifunction air intake sensor, something like that. It's different because on the L83 they call it a multifunction that. On the L96 and everything else, they call it an airflow sensor / intake temperature sensor. This is the 8-wire, so it has humidity, intake air 1, intake air 2, baro, and mass airflow all in one sensor. I think that's it. Might have another one. Might have another sensor. Can't remember. So we got done with that Silverado. We left there. We went to a 2002 Toyota XLS, Toyota Avalon XLS. The customer lost all the keys. This is at a body shop. All keys lost. I believe this 02 does have a transponder in the key. So we had to, we pulled the passenger door lock assembly out, got the code off of it, cut by code a key so they could get it in the shop, and we're going to deal with the all keys lost situation later. That's going to either have to be an EEPROM or a replacement of the PCM because it's an O2 model Avalon. Hey, Brian. Got done with that key. Oh, no, sorry. Between those two stops, before the Toyota key, we actually did the live stream. So that was the Ford key that we did, cut and program on that. Then we went and did the Toyota key, and then we left the Toyota key place, and we drove to another shop and did a programming on LS430, engine transmission software update. We did a used PCM and TIPM replacement on a Chrysler 2013 Chrysler 200. Then we started that diag on the SC300. Had to leave. So that was today. All we got done today. Ford took a lot longer than what it should have at the very beginning of the day. I was probably there for an hour and 10 minutes between everything, trying to figure out if the cylinders 1 and 2 hard misfire codes had anything to do with the replacement of the engine that had just happened. Well, I guess this truck had come into the shop with a coolant and an oil leak, and they replaced the timing cover gasket and one coolant hose on the left-hand side, the driver's side turbo. It had left, come back a month later with no boost. So they found a broken hose to the boost control solenoid on the very top of the engine. They replaced that, went to go test drive it. While they were test driving it, it had boost again, they said. It was still low on boost after that. So it was still not making much boost, didn't have a whole lot of power. During that test drive, the oil light had come on 3 or 4 times. So they brought it back to the shop, wasn't sure what was going on. Another tech took it for a test drive while watching some scan data and said the oil light came on solid and it started knocking. So he shut it off, got it back. They towed it back to the shop, pulled the oil pan, and cylinders 3 rod bearing was just discolored black, dry as a bone, crashed. The motor had glitter all in it. So they put a long block in it. I have no idea who's paying for this. They put a long block in it, kept the original turbos. After they put the long block in it, they said it was misfiring a little bit when the oil light came on. So they put a long block in it, and then when they started up, I had a dead cylinder 1 and 2 misfire. So when I get there, I'm thinking, I'm thinking this has something to do with it. Ended up being just a bad PCM. Brian says, remember that Lexus ES300 you got halfway through programming and lost comm? Yes, Brian. What happened to that car? I totally forgot about that. So Brian is local to me. He has a shop. They do one of the only places that I recommend people get stuff done. One of the few places. So he had a Lexus ES300. We did a used PCM, and it's a push-button start proximity car. I lost comm halfway through after I got done programming it. We did the VIN exchange, and then it got the VIN change and everything, and then it lost comm. And it came in because it had lost comms. What happened? Bad connection to EFI fuse, pulled fuse, found corrosion, cleaned terminals, installed new fuse, hasn't had a problem since. Sweet, Brian. Was that with the original computer or the replacement? Mario, that was a long correct. Just saying it earlier today on my live stream, Mario, I don't have one of your stickers. I guess I gotta make some stickers. Just don't have any. I'm literally gonna be looking right now for how much it's gonna cost me to get stickers made. But yeah, I totally forgot about that car, Brian. I just remember you called and said you put a used PCM in it and needed me to come program it and get the keys done. Cool. Ship it. At least it was something simple. I know what you meant, Joe. Hey, Steve. Yeah, I was talking today about finding a place inside the van to put the stickers because I've got Corey's sticker, I've got Wyatt's sticker, I've got another Diagnostic Network sticker. I've got some stuff. Stickerapp.com. Cool. Yeah, see, we made what was funny is I made a few vinyls and was shipping them out with some of my original Patreon packages, some vinyls. The problem is I had to send instructions with them, and the same problem we have with the Train by Tech stickers is I would see people with them, and they'd still have the clear over them. I'm like, this is a vinyl. You just push it on real good, then peel the clear off, and it leaves just a clean vinyl. I'm cool with that. The problem is it requires sending instructions with each one and stuff, so it's probably easier for me just to get stickers. I figured that'd be cool. Just get stickers. Hello, Brazil. I cannot pronounce your name. Thing was, I would get power and ground, but then would lose power, but wasn't actively testing for power and ground. So I've many times I've like, it's got power and ground, and then somebody else goes to check it, and they're like, no, it doesn't. I'm like, oh, dude, I swear to you, I know how to test powers and grounds. It was there when I checked it. And that's what was funny was I showed up to that one, and it was no comm with the original PCM. So he swapped the PCM out like while I was standing there, and then we had comm with it. It was like, yeah, dude, your diagnosis was 100% correct. You needed a PCM. I mean, if you got no comm, and then you put a PCM in it, and then you got comm, it's like, yup. He's like, all right, can you get this one working? I was like, sure. So I get it and get the VIN changed and everything, and do all that, and go to do the keys and get it all done. I'm like, I go to start it, and there was nothing. And I was like, what the heck? And then I look, and I got no comm with the PCM. I'm like, oh, man. I was like, all right, well, there's still something wrong with the car. Gotta go. And I kind of left Brian to his own devices, because he can figure that stuff out. He's one of the shops that really doesn't need me for a lot of diag, and the only time he has me diag stuff is when he doesn't want to mess with it. Like that Monte Carlo. He had a Monte Carlo that was from a car lot, and they literally just didn't want. I mean, it was one of those things. If I remember right, on this Monte Carlo, they had replaced the cluster while the car was running and caused all kinds of issues. So it was crazy. Oh, hey, Pico. Hey, I got your email earlier. I don't know why the free trial didn't work. I thought I set it all up right. When you go in to do it, go into like you're gonna purchase the online training access, and then like there's a red link that says apply coupon code, and then apply it, and then fill out the rest of stuff, and it should show that it's just $0, and you'll get 10 days of access with it. I know that Monte Carlo was crazy. So this Monte Carlo, I guess this car lot. Blake Rothman says, L1, where are you from? Oklahoma. But I lived in Colorado for a little while and moved back to Oklahoma. I don't think I made any. No, I did make YouTube videos when I was in Colorado. Yeah. It was back when I was just doing like 300ZX videos. So this Monte Carlo, I guess they changed the cluster while it was running. I think this was some used car lot's attempt to get the mileage to be lower or something. I don't know. So they said they plugged in a new replacement cluster while it was running, and then it just died, and it never started since then. So I get to it, and Brian's like, yeah, I don't even want to touch it. This is all you. It's got 2 clusters laying in the seat, 2 BCMs laying in the floorboard. He's like, I just don't want to mess with it. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to check it out, and like the check engine light's on with the key off, and that's it. It doesn't do anything to turn the key on. I go checking powers and grounds, just like I get to the DLC to check power. I'm doing something I just determined that it doesn't even power up my dongle for my launch. So I'm like, what in the world? So anyways, I noticed that there's like it won't power up my dongle. So I'm like, all right, let me try this. I go checking powers and grounds, and I noticed there's like 3 volts on the DLC. I'm like, oh, well, that's some huge voltage drop. So I've got a jump box on it. No, I got module programming power supply on it. And I'm looking at something, and then I realize that my ground reference is no good, is my problem. So I'm like, oh, I got a ground problem. Cool. So I go out to under the hood and go to check in like the major grounds on the engine block and stuff, and none of the grounds are good. The ground cable comes off the battery and goes down underneath the car and disappears. And wherever it's going, there's no ground. So we end up moving it, putting a big old eyelet on it, putting it on the strut tower, getting the body ground back, and then, oh, surprise, we got communication with stuff. I'm like, cool. So we get all that done. Then we got comm, but we still have, no, there's like no comm to the cluster, a few other things. So then we have to go and I find a bunch of blown fuses. And then they said they had the steering column replaced by somebody, and that was the problem. That happened after it didn't shut off. There was a whole bunch of people that had touched this car. Like, so by the time Brian got it, he was like, yeah, I'm out. I don't want nothing to do with it. And I totally don't blame that. I remember him telling me, he's like, we don't even want to work on it. And I was like, cool. So I figure all that stuff out. And then we get to this point where we got this B3031 stuck in a mobilizer learn. We got a key. So the problem is that I could not get a used VTD module to work on this car, no matter what I did. So finally I had to get a new VTD, vehicle theft deterrent module, one that goes around the lock cylinder. And when you do that, you have to replace the keys too. So, and I want to say there was another module in there somewhere. Oh, it was a lot of fun trying to figure out which BCM and which instrument cluster was the original. It was already programmed. So we got those in, got the cluster come back to life, got the BCM was good. The one that I chose was good. I think it was the only one that didn't have junkyard writing on it, but both the clusters had junkyard writing on it, like it had been swapped once before. Got that all together, tried like 2 used VTD modules, would not work. Then finally got a brand new VTD module in it, programmed it, had to do a new key, because for whatever reason on this like 2007 Monte Carlo or something, it would not accept an old key was good, but somehow, because the VTD module had to be replaced, you had to replace the keys. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, had to put a new key on it, and I gave the key to Brian, and I was like, now this key will turn the lock cylinder, but it won't start the car. He grabs the key from me and literally just throws it in the trash. He's like, if I give that to him, they're going to screw it up. So he says he's laughing right now. I was laughing. He did that, and I was like, that sounds good to me. By the way, I did that today on that Ford Focus that I did today earlier. I went in and I programmed both. I got the new key programmed and everything. I handed to him, like, here you go. And he's like, this old key is so intermittent. He's like, please just get rid of this key. I was like, I'll take it. Because I'll take the body of it and see if I could, fix it or whatever. But, is what it is. No, I mean, like this SC 300, the Super Coupe 300 with 2JZ, I told the guy, I was like, I really don't like doing OBD1 cars. There's so much like scan data that doesn't exist that I wish would exist that makes diagnosing stuff so much easier, that I'm super not interested in OBD1 cars. But I think I'm going to go back and work on this SC just because it's an SC. It's funny. It's got a Samuel Adams Oktoberfest beer tap as the shifter. It's a manual, by the way, a manual SC300. And it's got a bunch of neon lights on it and a bunch of stupid stuff. It's funny. Says they still haven't sold that car. Apparently keeps having new problems popping up. I told them not to bring it down. Good. And don't let them call me either. I don't want to be. The funny thing is those guys have my number and they've used me before. Because I know exactly who it is. I mean, it's not really a car lot, but it's the guy who owns that shop that has the car used to own a car lot, and I even did work for the car lot that he used to own. And he's one of those car lots. I'm just not a fan. I mean, that same place called me out to program a VTD module on a Cobalt because it had attempted to be stolen and they replaced all the parts. I got there and he's like, I had my normal locksmith guy come by and he said it's got to be programmed with a Tech 2, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I show up to program it and there's no comm to it. I'm like, I went back in, I was like, all right, initially he freaked out because I was like, yeah, programming's 150. He's like, 150? My guy said he'd do it for 80. I was like, but your guy just said he couldn't do it. So it's 150 for me to do it. He's like, why is it so expensive? I was like, because it takes years of knowledge and equipment and thousands of dollars of equipment. He's like, well, I got a $40,000 alignment rack and I only charge $50 for an alignment. I was like, well, you don't charge enough. I don't know. It was just a crap situation. I was like, look, man, it's 150 for me to program it. After all of that, I talk him into it. I go out there and there's no comm to the thing. So I go back in and I'm like, hey, here's the deal. There's no comm to this, so there's something wrong with it. I said, so what do you want me to do? Do you want me to diagnose this and then program it because it's been replaced? Or do you guys want to figure out what's wrong with it? Or he's like, well, you just figure it out. I was like, just so you know, it's a charge to figure it out what's wrong with it. And then since you don't have the old one because it was stolen and the car was broken into, it's still the 150 to program it after I charge you to figure out why I can't talk to it. And then that was a fight, and it was a disaster, and he didn't get it, and I was like, look, man, it's like X dollars to tell you what's wrong, and then if you also want it programmed when you're done, which we know it needs to be programmed because it's used, it's X dollars for that. Joe's laughing because he deals with this crap every day. Joe's area, he deals with guys that don't want to pay. Mike, what up? Pimp my ride. He said I'd have I would have walked out the door. It didn't take much for me. I kind of told him, I was like, just kind of take it or leave it kind of situation. So, anyways, fuse is blown. They replaced the unit. The fuse is blown. I told them, I was like, I put the fuse in it. Or the fuse was blown because there was a short from somewhere. I put the fuse in it and then told him to run a new wire. And their guy ran a new wire. And then he's like, and I got done programming. Like I had it jumper wired and programmed it. And then said, just run a new wire from here to here. Or overlay one or whatever. This is a Cobalt. Don't spend a lot of money on it. But I said the short happens a lot. I even have a video where I found this exact same issue once before in a Cobalt. I think it's called Cobalt Theft Light issue, and it's not a key. I think is the name of the video. Anyway, I was like, dude, I've seen this a bunch. It's probably just a short inside the center of the console where the wire rubs against the metal frame. You'll find it that way. I said, but if you want, you could just cut the wire here, run a new wire away from everything, and you're good to go. And he called me back the next day, and he's like, we overlaid that wire, and it doesn't run. I was like, it was sitting there running. I showed you that it ran after I got done with my overlay. So I get out there, and the dude had jacked the connector to the VTD module and pulled literally the thing was, like, the connector was pulled out of the pin was pulled out of the connector. So I was like, all right, so it's this much to fix the connector if you want. And he was like, you just keep charging me money. I was like, well, your guys keep jacking this thing up. So it was just a disaster. Marcos, yeah, it's like that everywhere. Never heard so many fuse horror stories. Dude, I probably did $20,000-$30,000 in sales in fuses last year. It's ridiculous. Oh. First one of us figures out how to fix stupid will be rich. I saw that thing the other day where they were like, we used to think that the cause for stupidity was the lack of information. And then the internet came around and we proved that false. Call them cobbled. Yeah. Dude, I'm in Oklahoma. You have no idea how many backwoods redneck repairs have been done here. Brian's seen it. If Brian's still in here, he's local to me. He deals with cars other people have already touched all day long also. It's a disaster. Everything out here is a disaster. Like we have no safety inspections. We have no emissions inspections. We got cars driving around with no bumpers. Literal like lantern that you buy at like Walmart for $6 take the big 6-volt battery. We got those inside of headlight spots where cars are wrecked. I'm not even kidding. Like I see one of those every day, at least one every day. There's cars driving around with taillights full of water all the time, and I can't handle it half the time. Brian says I've seen it. Yeah, it's all of it. It's all out there. Like, it's crazy. But the thing is it never ceases to amaze me. I see new stuff every day that I'm like, I can't believe that. I cannot believe that. So, it's just crazy. But, guys, it's 6 o'clock. I got to jump off here. I got to go over to the L1training.com side. We're going to do the part 2 of the keys and immobilizer systems class. So, I got to go. We will talk to you guys later.